Yo. Hey, Cormac, Robbie, Stuart, Crazy J, Mr. Muhammad Ali. Hey, Byron Stamps. Okay, I'm just going to quickly fix up this before I get into the Macbooks, so that I don't waste yet more resources. Hey, Lars, Arnold G, Ed. Oh, Ed, you just have to stop and watch this one instead. Okay. I need another piece of tape. Sit down. Be a good piece of whatever you are. Okie doke. Hey, Paul Howe. Panov, hello. And Margarita. Alright, what we're doing here is earlier today I was working on an iPhone 8 that had no earpiece volume, or no earpiece output at all, after a person had done a home screen replacement. And there was damage on the connector. Let's see. There was damage on the sensor FPC connector, and I thought that was at fault. So what I wanted to do was use the original flex and then just put a new connector on it, and that's this one over here. But unfortunately that wasn't the fault. Something's actually wrong with this flex. I suspect maybe it got electrically damaged, and so unfortunately, in spite of my efforts, and that's my solder job there, in spite of my efforts, it didn't work, and I had to put a replacement flex on. Fortunately, I found that, of course, that the iPhone 8 does not have it's not signature ID bound or anything like that, so I can just now put this one back onto the donor flex, because this actually was a new part and these are not cheap parts, and just sit it back down. No scope, flip me. Thanks guys. There we go. Now ITC, Jeff, Rafael, Mr. Sharp, Riston, sorry. The scope's back now. Did the battery replacement on the last 1466 fix the problem? I don't know, I haven't actually replaced that. I mean, as far as I can tell, that is the fault, so I'm just going to go with it. What am I doing? Wow, I actually removed that other one at 250 by accident. So this is 250C by accident. I don't think it's going to be quite enough to get it to sit down. I'm actually just doing this now because I'm curious to see if I can do it at 250. And it looks like I can. That's pretty crazy. I would never have believed that I could solder back a flex at 250C. Hey Damaris. It took a little longer, but yeah, can't complain. I might have to touch some of those up. Well, no, it's not low melt. That's my normal, what do you call it, 6337. It was definitely not low melt. So that would tend to imply that my thingamajig is not calibrated so well. I'm just going to go 270, a bit more air, see if I can push it down, because it feels like it's floating. It's extreme. It was extremely marginal though. Hey, rescue. Well, they're not all filleted, but I'm pretty sure they are. Well, that one's not. Yeah. Time to bring out the soldering iron. This is a little bit beastly for this task, but we'll get it done. Just hold on to the iron with two hands and let the natural shaking vibrations of my hands work onto the pins. Bit of flux required there. This has now gone way out of control. If you got shaky hands, make them work for you. Alright, we're done. And I can just rinse or wash that and put it away for the day that I need to use it, which will probably be when I find that I did something wrong here. Oh, nice. Nice. Black paint just falls right off. Wasn't expecting that. Hey, Nelson. If nothing else, it can be a test flex for me in the future. I also found that it seems like the iPhone 7 Plus and 8 Plus earpiece speakers are the same thing, which is good to know. One less part to double up on. Right. Now we can get to the fun stuff. Macbooks. Sharpie pen, yep, good idea. Start using Sharpie pen to fix up accidental scratches on the back of the iPhone glass where the prox windows are and things like that when you make a mistake. Or if the prox sensor is too sensitive. I think this is the original one that I took off, the one that was actually broken when the person did the replacement. Yeah, that's it. There was the pin here was folded over inwards, so I have a feeling it might have contacted to one of those, which caused then the problem of damaging the flex. Hello, Inal. Granada. From Indonesia. It's not far from here. Stuart Menzies better not be another battery replacement. Hey, Jose. Alright, let's see what we've got up first. We've got a 1502. Yep. 1502. Let's see, what do we got? Not powering on, has MagSafe indicated, doesn't appear to be liquid damaged. Alright. Wow, that's seriously overblown. Let me bring that back down. I'm going to tilt the angle of the camera. Yep. My lighting's... What the hell happened there? Auto. Jim, I think there was 3 or 4. I think it was 4. One of them was a warranty return, but it's a bit of a problematic warranty return because when it got here it worked. So that's gonna be something to argue over. Stuart Menzies, you're going for PM Sleep S4L. Oh, it's not good. Hey James, I would be content with 2 to 3 Macs arriving each day. I think that'd be a safe kind of level for me and still give me time to do programming, iPhones, and eating ice cream. Certainly does look clean. And the bugs arrived, but the zapper's upstairs. Yeah, let's plug it in and see what happens. If this boots up, I'll be a little bit upset. Vista, no ice cream for the last couple of weeks. Arnold, I can't really zoom on this one, I'm sorry. No, I can try, but I think quality... No, it's actually already at... See, that's how it was, and this is how it can be. Okay. Nada. Okay, I like these sort of faults. They're truly dead. Not the annoying half-dead scenarios. Yeah, it'd be nice if you could get... Well, look, I'll tell you what, I'd love one of the cameras that Lewis has got. And the hardware required to convert the HDMI into something I can capture. I definitely would say yes to that. Yes, please. 12. Reset my numbering system. I should do that in Chinese. Air conditioner's not keeping me cool. Alright, let's rip it out and see what's going on. So is this 2013 or 2014? I'm not sure. Hey Vladimir. Jai Sharp. Who's your Prime Minister? I'm actually not surprised the politicians are coming down with it because, you know, they do love to congregate and hug each other and, you know, get up all personal with each other. So it's, yeah, definitely no great surprise that they're catching it like wildfire. Oh, Boris. Boris is good. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. It's definitely not nice to be at risk like that. But, yeah, like I said, politicians congregating like that. Okay, we're ready to come out. How sad you're calling him Bojo as a direct counter insult to Bono. This is going to be fun. I cannot see any defects whatsoever off the quick glancing. Check the battery meter, not wet. We'll give it a good look over and see what's going on. It's the only trouble I have with these silicon mats is that you can't slide the circuit boards around on them very well. Circuit boards just stick. Uh, 3V42 section looks tolerable. Nothing untoward there. If we're lucky, it's maybe a cap that decided to commit suicide. Mind you, we are getting MagSafe lights, so that kind of reduces. Well, hello. How the heck did you get in there? What are you? You're like, you must have been in there from original manufacturing, perhaps. It's the original CV19 sample. Damn, what is going on with it? I might have to change my cable. Yeah, I know. Hey, Nathan Hopkins. Yeah, I know, and I threw away the evidence. There we go. Threw away the evidence. It's over. And there's one of those damn bugs again. The evidence is in the trash can. There's no way I'm going to be able to find that again. Okay, let's have a look at the back side. $34.76 board. That bug again. The bug just likes the limelight. The ever-present hexagonal cutout glitter piece. Really, this is the stuff filling up our oceans. How to turn on MacBook Pro without DC jack and connector. Do you mean power or turn on? Because depending on the board, they usually have a turn on button pair where you can just short it from the keyboard connector. But if you're trying to power it, then you really do need the DC in jack. Otherwise, communications doesn't really work so well. This is going to be a frustrating board. The perfectly clean boards are the worst. We've got a shorted cap somewhere? Come on. I'll try it now that it's disconnected from everything. Maybe it was a daughter board issue. Sometimes I can hold them down. They're not usually on these ones, I don't think. 1398 certainly. $260. We're definitely drawing something more than just nothing. We're definitely not in SO state. Let us hope that the CPU does not get warm. Okay, we've got 4 watts of heat going into it, or power rather. So we should feel that. Within a minute or two, we should feel somewhere on the board is getting warm. We don't need a thermal camera if we just be a little bit patient. As long as it's not the CPU. I mean, 4 watts isn't a huge amount of power, but it is enough. Wait, yep, I've got something coming up here now, I'm feeling it. Up here. Andrew Hughes. Move it down here. There's nothing burning my skin here. Somewhere around here. Let's get ourselves a bit of alcohol. Yeah, I think it's a pretty pathetic amount. Okay, it's... Can't tell if it's that or that's just evaporation. It does seem to be that. But that's a MOSFET, so I can't really blame that. It's feeding something. Alright, board view and schematic time. So it's probably not what is at fault, but it may give us an indication of where we can start looking. What board did I say this was? $34.76. Oh yeah. it's this chunky one here, Q7130. Alright, so what we'll do is we will either take the fuse or the inductor. We'll take the fuse out of the equation, see which side we're sitting on, and the fuse is on the other side. So it's this fuse here. We're going to take that out of the equation, see which side, left or right, that our fault is sitting on. It's probably not even a short, but we will see. Professional engineer, yes, we got it all up and running. It's now on GitHub too. So yeah, if you want the serial version, it's up there on GitHub, so go wild. The big fault in the end was the fact that I was double dereferencing the character buffer. So I was passing that. I was passing the usual dereference as a parameter, but then in the call to the write function, I also then dereferenced it again, and that's why it just wouldn't work, because it was sending garbage to the power supply. And the power supply was all like, "What? Don't understand anything you're saying, buddy. Not going to respond. I'm not going to acknowledge that." I really doubt we're going to see much in terms of shorting on this, but we'll have a look. .02. Yeah, okay, that's maybe a little more of a short than I expected. But that is PV bus G3 hard. Let's see what the actual ohms is. This diode mode sort of becomes a little unreliable after a bit. 0.37. Okay, I'd say that's a little bit low. Oh yeah, sorry folks. This is the one... There we go. This is the one area where I do tend to slip up with the lack of automatic switcher. So we got 0.38, 0.37. So if we stick some voltage in there, we might get a hit. Scope what? I'm really not sure what people are asking at the moment. Hey there, Buzzcaller. Anyone want to bet that once I put this on here and try to apply current, it's going to just show something ridiculous like 100 milliamps or something? It's not going to actually have a short like what you'd imagine from sub-ohm levels. It's going to be interesting because I haven't done this process before on this meter, on this power supply. $5 bet on it. Hey, Mr. Lemon. Okay. I'm going to go into my memories. I'm going to set a 1 volt 5 amp entry. This is actually slower. This is slower to work with than the previous one. What are you doing, man? Memory. Oh, I've got to edit first. Oh, gee. Two volts, 5 amps. Actually, we'll go 1 volt. One volt, 5 amps. Okay. Definitely nowhere near as good as the other, but it's programmable, so okay. Harold, yeah, I should. It's bad habit, Harold. Okay, connected. Let's see what happens. What are you complaining about? I'm not sure what it's doing there. Oh, I know what's happening. It's going into current protection mode because the over current protection is set at 2.5. Alright. Oh, you learn these things. Interesting though, I've got a flaw in the algorithm. Okay, that's good. Now we should be able to go somewhere. Okay, well we've got 4 watts going in. Well, I'm putting 5 amps in through Harold. So maybe I am pushing it a bit. Well, yep, I found. God damn, it's around here somewhere. Brushed my little finger over it and it hurt me. Somewhere. Yep, you're around here somewhere. Around here. I swear I felt the heat. Oh. There we go. I was looking for a little one, but it was a big one. Jack, you shut your face about possible PCH failures. We do not accept that around here. And 7380 is part of just PV bus. Okay, that's just general stuff. 33 microfarad, 16 volt poly turned. So, okay, we should be able to have no trouble getting a replacement for that. Just move over a bit. Yeah, unfortunately, it's right next to one of those damn rubber things. Let's get it out of here. A little bit cumbersome tonight with the fact that we're trying to work out how to use my new power supply. Yeah, setting up the memories on this one is not as simple or intuitive as the previous one that I've got, but what I'm planning on doing is modifying the software that I have so that I can have a list of presets on screen and then just hit the presets and it'll just be in a text file or something, all the presets I want. Yeah, in trouble. I'm going to go text file route because I'm too lazy to do a proper user interface to type it in. Because that's just what I do. Yeah, I hear that popping, buddy. I hear it. Oh, come on. That took a little longer than I expected. Let's see if we still got a short. That's more like it, 300 ohms, that's good. Squeaky. Come on. You must learn to resist the urge to yank the soldering iron away when it does the grabbing like that. If you yank it away, you will pull the traces away. You just have to give it time to heat soak a little more and then you can go and detach it. Oh. Thankfully I found it. Stew is up at the proper one temperature now. But there's just a lot of heat absorption capability in these boards. Howard, I'm thinking I'm going to have to send these chipmunks to all of my business suppliers because, all the people who are in business of sending me machines to repair, because I would like them to use these to verify a faulty machine rather than then sending me machines that they think are faulty or dead, but they're not actually. Maybe it's a black screen or something like that. I'm just waiting for this to cool down, so I might put it in the turbo cooler. Ah. Thank you, Mark. I very much appreciate it. Videos or ice cream or kitty cats? Let's see how we go now. Oh, obviously that's not going to work because we need to go back to our original memory setting. I do have the old supply still here, so I could use that as a short finder, but I think it's more entertaining if we have the programmable one with the readable display as the short finder as well. Okay. Pardon me. No, it's turbo cooling, not rapid cooling or anything else. Turbo cooling. Okay, I think we're going to get a fan spin here. Yeah, we got a fan spin. So it's good. 460, we'll wait for our green light and then we will be happy. Professional error, it's going into a 2-foot long carbon filter, and the intake on the carbon filter is 8-inch or 200mm. It's quite a heavy carbon filter and it should last me a year. We got our green light, so I'm happy. Good question, Harold. I'd probably say, I don't know. Can you send me an email for how much it would be for me to get 4 of them or 5? I think that'd be a useful number. Paul, yes, I am aware I got to 20,000. Funnily enough, I got to 20,000 the other night, and then when I woke up again in the morning, it was back down to 19,999, and jumped up again later. Yeah, Stuart, well, thankfully we didn't have your PM Sleep S4L. So I guess I better replace that. It may only be 33 microfarads, but it's probably important enough that I should put it on there. Yeah, the real fun's going to be finding suitable replacement because, yeah. Oh, I'm looking at 1398 boards and wondering why I couldn't find any that visually matched. I said, duh. Okay, oh, you mongrels, you've had all your caps stripped off you. And it wasn't even me that did it this time. Buzz, I certainly hope there's no corona-ing going on. Yeah, these ones should do just fine. Looks like I've been there before, so should be good. These should come off a little bit quicker because they do not have the CPU on the other side sucking up all the heat. I mean, the circuit board certainly sucks up a fair bit of heat, but having the CPU on the other side really doesn't help. There, see how quickly that came off compared to the other one? Not as pretty as these ones. Might clean this up. Can mail with goods come to Australia got conflicting info? Oh yeah, actually that's a good question. I don't know if we've got open with the coronavirus situation. I'm not sure, Harold, I'll have to check. I know we're shutting our borders supposedly, but normally it's with people. Because typically by the time mail does get here from overseas, it's already gone past the whole 3-day limit. I'm gonna have to use assistive heat on this. Yeah, it's okay. That cap is so big I will be able to find it again. Hopefully, Harold, you've been getting orders for the chipmunks, because it's definitely, you know, such a great tool. Man, I'm starting to sound like those people that get paid to do YouTube promos. But no, seriously, I'm really happy with it. It adds that extra element of diagnosis to the whole process without having to do anything extra. It just makes life easier, and that's what I like. I think I'll just focus on this side, because this is the side that really needs the heat, and this side's already reflowed anyway. I'm pretty happy with that. Hey Sonia, how's it going? I wonder if I should beef that up or not. Yeah, that's much better. I like that. That's pretty. Hey, Vivek Kumar. David LeGault's here too. Jim, how's that heart of yours going, by the way? Hey, we got an edge on part here. I'm not going to disturb that. Where did this come from? Do not tell me that I just soldered on the dud. I think I just soldered the dud back on. I'm fairly sure I soldered the dud back on. I don't even know how that happened. Ready for the beep. Oh no. I thought I threw that away. It must have... Oh, that is so tragic. I was wondering why the solder just seemed a little bit iffy in terms of its coloration. It wasn't the nice bright. You can see on the right hand side I've got the bright of leaded, and on the left hand side I've got the slightly matte appearance of the not leaded mongrel. Yeah, it was meant to go in the bin. Okay, well I'm going to pickle it on this side, and hopefully that should get it off quicker for us. I can't believe that. I can believe that. It's just been one of those days. It should come off pretty quick though. The power of leaded solder. That's much better. Looks ugly, but it does the job. And that's the proper response you want. Oh well, I've got to entertain you all. Okay, so that one's fixed. But now that we've got the new cap on there, I might just verify that, but I'm also cool off the board. That's some good suction. Yeah, we'll just power back up just to verify we have done things right again. Vane spin, now we wait for the greenies. Come on, greenie. And there we go, we have a win. Yeah, so they'll go into the ultrasonic and get cleaned up. And in the meantime, we'll get on with the next machine. Oh, Stuart. Well, that's our way of filtering out people we do or don't want in this stream. Oh, whoops. Just realised I've got an iPhone 6s Plus that I have to fix up as well. I might just get this quickly done before I forget, because that was supposed to be, well, a day and a half ago that I was meant to have that finished. I'm just being lucky with everybody stuffed around with this coronavirus. People aren't really pushing me for schedules. So China, that we're getting we're getting MagSafe, but we were not getting any boot. So let's see, what do I want? White one. Black, black, white, white. Oh, I'm running out of. What's this one? White grade O. No, don't want to use those. White grade R. We do want the grade R type, because pirate grade is the best grade. R. Okay. Charlie, it wasn't so much brain dead, it just simply wasn't even coming to life, like I said, other than the MagSafe. And when we looked at the current drawer on the power supply, it was drawing about 250 milliamp, but no activity, so there was a bit of a chance we might have had some kind of a short. So given that it was drawing 250 at 18 volts, there was going to be a bit of heat coming up somewhere, and it wasn't coming up from the CPU, so that was a good sign. But it was coming up from a MOSFET, and that MOSFET, great, we've got no freaking screws in the bottom here. That MOSFET was for generating the main power line, or part of the main power line. And so we went along and injected power at the fuse, and found our short was a big fat cap on which is HSI5 or whatever the heck it is. Don't ask me to come up with these names and numbers when I'm neck deep into a 6S Plus. Come on, I always feel like I'm shucking oysters when I do this. Okay, this has been a victim of me before, and it's got a battery failure, so that's going to need to be replaced as well. schematics. Oh, you gave this to me last night. Oh, what was it? What did I eat for dinner? Tonight was toasted chicken sandwiches with lettuce on the side. Not a very comprehensive meal, but simple enough. Funnily enough, at night time, as we're going to sleep now, we put on the YouTube channel of what's it called? I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's not a mukbang channel, but it is a channel of this person, and they make all these really nice Korean, Chinese, or Japanese meals, all simple meals, and there's no talking, or not much talking that I know of. And it's just really nice seeing the artistic work being done to make them. And we just go to sleep with that running. We've got a nice 55-inch screen in the bedroom, because it wasn't originally our bedroom. It just became it. Please don't replace the battery of the same one this time. Oh yeah, thanks Vladimir. I'll do my best. There we go. Let's get some squeaky action. As long as we don't tear these strips. Satisfaction. These must be genuine strips. Just check German Post, not German Post, yes, German Post, Deutsch, yeah. Not allowing me to create a shipping label to Australia. Oh well, that's fine. We'll deal with it later, Harold. I've got my pair here and I'm really liking them, so I don't think we can wait till this whole situation is over. Always got to remember to hold the battery down on that last strip. Otherwise you have a flying strip. This is from 2016. So reasonable life. Straight into the rubbish bin. It's got a few dents around the corners. Okay, let's get rid of some human grime. Not sure if that needs to be pushed out a bit. You're worried about catching CV19? Well, we catch worse things fixing phones if you don't use gloves. Hey, Johan Boysen. How's it going? Human flakes. Zoidberg would love that stuff. A feast is a feast. Even if they are Amy's toenails clippings. Rescue, yeah, the 1502 is all good now. It was a shorted cap on basically the big PP bus line. Very fortunate, actually. Not too often that I get blessed with such direct faults. Trying to decide whether I'll try and knock those notches out or whether I'll just leave them be. The plastic carrier for most screens usually has enough give to handle those. You start trying to mess with them and sometimes you end up with a worse situation. We'll see how it goes. Fortunately, that wasn't a bad one. I've had some that you really start to get a slight upchuck reflex on. But I don't judge. People can't always tell what they're putting into their phones. So I apologise that we're having a slight detour from the MacBook, but I do want to get this done before I forget again. Fingerprints. I can always tell when I have not worked on something because there's always fingerprints on these parts. It's really strange that German posters... Is it German or Dutch? I think it's Deutsch, German. That they cut Australia off the list. I feel kind of hurt by that. Rubbish. I was going to make sure that there's no speck of anything on the back of these. Otherwise you will have the joy of putting it all back together, powering it up, and then crying because you can see a little white dot appearing on the screen where it's not supposed to. And you know you have to take it all apart again and remove that teeny tiny speck of sand that you left on there. Not as bad as the iPhone 4S grill though, but it's close enough. First of a day, 21 days lockdown in South Africa. Oh, Johan, where are you? You're in Gauteng or Durban? I think you're in Durban, aren't you? Or was it Cape Town? Sorry, Gauteng. Do you think? Yes, I do very much like Asian food. My wife often calls me, lovingly, she says I'm like an Asian Westerner or something, because I do very much love my Asian food. And I'm not talking about the Chinese shop, you know, this westernized Chinese food. Mostly I'm just after simple foods. Simple, easy to make, but I don't know, hard to explain. Alright, that drives my CD, having those fingerprints on there. Be gone, foul fingerprints. I don't know whether they come out of the factory like that or whether it has been someone handling it. I mean, this phone has had its screen replaced before and it has been by me, but I know for a fact that it can't be my fingerprints. Hey, Calvin. Calling us eggs. Michael, I'm actually 50-50. I tend to go either way. I find rice a nice, easy staple. I gotta admit, I do cheat. I do use a rice maker these days. For many years, I'd make my own rice by hand, but I have become a little bit cheat-like and bought myself a decent rice cooker. But yeah, I'll happily go both ways. Null spray. Oh, okay. That's right. No, now I remember you saying null spray. Yep. Yes, I've done a fair bit of work in null spray. All those orange groves everywhere. Let's see, the last bit of work I did in the Nullspread area was with the toll road that goes to Mozambique. That was a bit of drama at the time. And that was back in 99, I think, or early 2000, I can't quite remember now. The only other time I think I went to Nullspread was, I think I was on my way to Namibia. I had to go through, get down to Windhoek and then down to Swakopmund. The casinos down there. I had to deal with the Novell installations. That was fun, driving across the Namibian desert. Hours upon hours of nothing. And then you get to Swakopmund and the city that's been constantly trying to be taken over by the sand dunes. That's fun. It's interesting. The best rice cooker for those that don't eat lots of rice is Sojirushi, because it'll keep warm and perfect for days. I'll have to look that up. Oh, okay, Harold, thanks for clearing that up on me, because I thought you were Dutch, and so that's why I was being thrown by the fact that you were using Deutsche Post. And I was like, what's going on there? But that makes sense now, thank you. And where did I put my box? Success Plus. Nice Success Plus battery. And I do not have a triple way strips in there, so let's hope that my 6 Plus box has the triple way strips. iPhone 6 Plus. Huzzah! Okay. Hi Marion, welcome. Renault, you're in Cape Town. Feels like a Sunday. Yeah, it does a bit feel like Sunday every day at the moment. Cape Town for me, I think, yeah, it's probably 98, I think, the last time I was there. And that was with the... Damn, what was the hotel called? It was down on the waterfront. Well, most of the hotels are on the waterfront. I keep thinking Castleburn, but that's down in... that's in Drakensberg, which I loved. The Commodore, that's the hotel that I was in, yeah. And then when I was up in back home in Pretoria, or Centurion for me, it would be the Centurion Hotel and the Michelangelo, places like that I was looking after. I hate it when these strips do this. You went for a massage at the Commodore? Really? I didn't know they had that service. Damn it. I missed out on all the good stuff. No, just kidding. I was working very late at that place. I was installing special remote data access Linux boxes at the time. These strips have been sitting around for too long and they've started to become adhesive to the pink side, which is bad news. So I'm going to do a little bit of scratchy. Not heavy, because we don't want to damage the soles, but just enough so that hopefully it bonds more to the back of the battery than it does to the plastic. And my hopes and dreams please come true. Yes. I do wonder, for most of you who are right-handed out there, when you're doing phone repair, reassembly like this, is it a inconvenience to you the fact that the fact that you're right-handed, so you'll be wanting to use this hand to put the screws in, whereas being left-handed, I can get straight in here with no, like I'm not having to reach over to the edge the other side of the phone. It's very easy access. I'm just trying to be sympathetic to right-handed's limitations. Same inverted, no difference. Can't you just flip the phone around? Well, you can flip the phone around, but then you have to reach over the phone. Whereas for me, being left, it's right down the bottom edge here. For all of it. I don't know. It seems like it's harder as a right-handed person for this. Like, you kind of have to. You could drop stuff all in here, and yeah, makes me happy to be a left-handed person. Clearly, Apple is designed for left-handed people. There is a bend in that chassis. Is there? Use a left-handed screwdriver. I got a push up here, and I'm not sure why. I need a straight edge. Someone's left their straight edge in the other room. Oh, well, this chunk of aluminium should still tell me the trick. That's definitely rocking. Now to see whether I've missed something or whether I've got a chassis bend. I mean, it's not that bad, the pop-up. I can retain it by the screws. Like if I put in the pentalobes, it will pull it down. But it just seems a little strange. I hope the battery's not too fat. Sometimes that can happen. Is your battery is just a little bit thick, and it causes it to push up. That indent there should not be causing any dramas. It's simply not big enough to cause drama. There is a bit of plastic there, so we'll get that out. But that's not where the push-up is. I'm a little stumped. I'm not sure what to think of that. Okay, Harold, thank you very much, and I'll be in touch. I just noticed there's no pentalobes here. So best I can guess is there's a bend along here. Let's see if it turns on. It does. Switch it down. No, I think the battery's actually at fault. Yeah, I have a feeling the battery's at fault in this case. Let's see if I push down. I'm certain I see a colour change. Let's turn off the LED light. Yep, there. See that? That's the battery. So we're going to take the battery out and see what's going on. It's not much of a lift, but at the same time I'm not willing to send it out like that. Now it's going to be a pain if the battery is just a little bit too fat, or maybe it just needs to be squished down. Sometimes the circuit board hasn't been rolled in properly when they wrapped it up. Put the screen up on the counter, tap the back of the hammer. Oh, you have to remember that I was actually taking you sincerely. Yeah, I think the circuit board is kind of protruded up a little bit, that's all. Sometimes when they're wrapped these, they don't quite get it right. It's better, but it's still not 100%. I'm gonna go and lose my mind over this. Nope. Damn thing's still showing up. Alright, I'll leave that until tomorrow. I'll sort that out. Let's get on with the other MacBook. Put this back in the slot. Which reminds me, I do need to update the details on that job we did just before. Save. I've got to do this more as I actually do the jobs rather than waiting around. What is going on here? What? But I'm me. Okay, something weird's happened there. I'm logging in with the right credentials, but it seems to tell me that it's not good enough. Oh well, fair enough then, so be it. Let's get on with the next one. I'll just have to go back to reading the back to replaying the video and find out if I forget. Mac OS EFI. Why would I do that? Okay. Nope. 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 Damn it. I swear these lights above me are getting dimmer for some reason. Oh, that was just my eyes are just not responding to the light as much. Okay, what is this one? Green light but no view. Wait, wasn't that the fault of the other one? I think I put the wrong sticker on this one. D59. Yep, this is actually the old sticker that's underneath is actually the correct one. I'm pretty sure this one's a liquid damage job. I was experimenting with my new stickers and yeah, put the wrong one on. These ones should be removable. Go away, bugs. Gotta tell you though, they're pretty hard to remove. Fault water damage. Okay. Yeesh, definitely liquid damage. Well, it's more I've got 3 sets of 13 watt strips up the top, and this one here, there is a flickering. Okay, just disconnect the battery. Oh, we've got battery. Oh, this might not be a good outcome. Okay, this is, I think, job 17. I think. So the battery's going to have to be removed. What I really hate with a lot of household lighting is that you can't overdrive them, unlike certain people's poor microscope lightings. Actually, that is why I've got a little bit less light here, because the microscope backlight's not there. And yet, even with their good brands, they're Osram lights, they frequently still fail way prematurely than what they should. Yeah, this is a complete cluster. Complete and utter cluster. We'll just get it all out, then assess the damage. Now what bothers me is where has it come from? Has it come through the keyboard, or has it come through some other method? If it's through the keyboard, that's a complete top deck replacement too. Let's see how we go. Yeah, Damara was talking about LED lights. What material is the gloves made of? Does the material make a difference in the repair? These are nitrile gloves. They are actually quite thin ones compared to the normal ones I used to use. It took a bit of getting used to. I felt they were a lot more flimsy, didn't quite feel right after I was used to the other ones. But I must confess, now that I've had them for a while, when I had to put on a pair of the ones I used to use, I vastly prefer these. There's a lot more dexterity. The only downside is they don't really snug to your hand so much, so you get a lot of this sort of bagginess going on. If you can get past that, then they're certainly my preference now. Come on, you little Wi-Fi's. You just know you want to break off. Give me extra work rebuilding those damn Wi-Fi connections. I buy these gloves in boxes of 300 now. And I went to resupply just recently. And unfortunately the price has gone up from $24 a box to $34 a box. And there was a limit of 2, so I couldn't even buy in bulk to help myself out. So higher price, no bulk. It's like, yep, thanks very much. Failure point is usually in the power supplies on good quality brands. The mirrors, I don't know if these have a power supply in them. They're just basically they're kind of like fake tubes, but they're not tubes. They're not something you plug into an existing fluorescent holder. They just have the slight outward appearance of tubes. And you can daisy chain them, that's the other thing. Which is what I've done. So I bought 3 of them and just daisy chained them all together. Obviously the mains voltage runs parallel down and then they just tap off. And then you can sort of like just anyway, they work well. And yeah, the 4 or I think about, I don't know if they're 4200 or 6400 Kelvin ones behind me seem to be okay, but these 3500 I think ones, they're really starting to lose their impact. Like I said, could just be me. Sometimes as the seasons change, I think vision changes a bit too. They're not fluoro replacements. I don't know if how I can get to show you. Yeah, I'll see if I can tilt up this camera and you can have a look. They're just like a long strip of that. It's not a fluoro replacement. They're just butted into each other. You can see a join in the top left there. That's how they are. And now I've got to set my camera up again. Anyway, those are the higher Kelvin ones. You ready to come out? Take you up first. Is it 3787 board? I missed a screw somewhere here. Trapped under this plastic thing. Yeah, we've got a good blob of corrosion here, corrosion there. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Stick them on 400 volt AC. Yeah, short but bright life. You probably get 2 cycles out of it before they die. There, Teresa, I was saying before, it's interesting that it seems to be taken out, well, I shouldn't say taken out, but seems to be attaching itself to a lot of socialite people, which is no great surprise. Okay. Yeah, that is a real wreck. Ah, geez, got down here too, that's the VRAM area. Yeah, this one's going to be touch and go. I don't know if we're going to have a win with this. I mean, I don't want to not fix machines, but sometimes when they get to this level, you can be asking for more trouble than it's worth. But we'll give it a shot. Yes, finally the meek will inherit the earth. or the shy, or the introverts. But at least the SMC seems clear. That's always a win. Yeah. Flux and boil, flux and boil. 6259 is clear. TPS is clear. Yeah, this is going to be a bit of a problem. Particularly as that corrosion's probably gone underneath that chip. And I'm in no mood to reball that. What's this ISL 95826? That looks like a problem. Hey Travis Stanford, how's it going? 3787. CPU VC. Oh lordy. Alright. Well, it'll be interesting to see if we've got a valid CPU after this. Because that's what I was kind of worried about. Alright, let's turn on the bugs are coming in thick and fast now. Tell you what though, Dave, Nick, I think the cave dwellers won't be happy about it though. Because they'll be like, we don't want to come out. We prefer it if someone else goes out there and looks after making sure the internet works and the fridge is stocked and all that sort of stuff. I might just remove this just in case it's been damaged. Likewise those two. Yeah, that looked a little less than ideal. Yeah, the other big thing that's on the rise, unfortunately, is domestic violence, which I don't think anybody is overly surprised by. You cram people into confined spaces that normally only see each other maybe an hour or two a day. And just the general frustration of the whole situation. So you're not great. That's a big hole there. It's like my tooth cavities. But yeah, these situations definitely do bring out the worst in people. Yeah, I love it when everybody talks about community spirit or the Australian way as they do here and all that sort of trash. Because really when it comes down to it, when things go wrong, we more often than not turn to the Mad Max side. The whole sharing, caring, supporting thing is just it's a utopian dream. To be fair, I am often amazed that civilization got to the point where it is today. And in part, I'm almost willing to say that it's perhaps like that simply because in order to prevent a greater enemy taking us over, we were forced to band together. And then we just kind of got lazy and didn't bother attacking each other after that. So I guess that's why patriotism is so valued by a lot of people. Hey, Under Gonzalez. Put a camera by the door face level. Nick, I tend to agree, sadly. Someone always is just reaching around for a bigger stick to beat someone else with, keeping them placated until then. And then once I got that bigger stick, wham, it's over. I know, it's pessimistic and all that sort of stuff, but... Oh great, you don't even have those two parts, that's nice. Oh well, I guess we'll just shift the ISL from that. But I don't like the fact that has already got a bunch of flux around that one. It's about the only thing with flux on it. Let's try a different board. How about you? You've been rather beaten, but we'll take your two parts. I'll scratch back that board first. I haven't finished there yet, so don't panic. I moved them the wrong way. Well, it's not as pretty as it was before, that's what I mean. Oh, looked prettier before. Oh well. I guess prettiness isn't everything. As long as it lasts a long time. I find this tip actually much better for doing TQFP pads. Except when there's more solder on there than I expected. I always found it difficult with the JSO to run along and get nice little fluffy pads for the chip. But with this K tip, it's much easier. Yeah, that'll do. It'll melt in nicely, it'll be fine. And then I'll squeeze it out the sides. Alright, we just need to get another one of those chips. Let's just find one that's not too beaten to hell. Oh, thank you, Gabriel. Vladimir, I do like the curved tips, but for this particular process that we're just doing at the moment, I am certainly finding the K tips to be better. Wait a second, that's not right. That is not on right. Surely. That's been turned. That has been turned about 90 degrees. You don't even have anything. What about you? Okay, you're in the correct position, so we'll take you. Hey Warren Stans, what sort of work have you been doing? Carbon, when I saw that I'm like, okay, I won't be taking that one. If the whole area had been turned, I would have been fine. That was just a board variation, but as far as I can tell on all of this series of boards, they basically should be the same. Ah, shame. Poor Lewis. His feelings are going to get hurt. I guess the thing is, everybody has their flavour of what they like, which is great. Otherwise it'd all just be wanting the one person for entertainment. I know I'm not as lively as what Lewis can be, nor as emphatic about hating on Apple. Though I do believe a lot of that is for the sole purpose of being a Pied Piper and drawing in all the people who hate Apple. Yeah, I can see those merge together. Little mongrels. No, Jack, interesting. I'm hoping once he gets settled with the new place and finds a new rhythm and routine, he'll be, something that people go back to happily. There's really not much in the way of pad lead protrusion on these outlines. Which is why I really should have called them QFNs and not TQ. So that was my mistake there. Mind you, in reference to what I was talking about, it would be the same anyway. Somebody's got a finger that can't hold the tweezers. Okay, finally. Never diss your bread and butter. Oh, most definitely. Every streamer has their style. It's okay to have a stream. Oh, can't touch a Mac or Apple without trying to destroy it. Yes, Lewis has a lot of informative videos. Oh, Calvin, that is true. I am Gen X. Glad to see someone recognises that. I've been called some other generations. I'm like, seriously now? Each to their own, and I'm more than happy with that. Alright, I've got a flux and boil scenario here. I really didn't get into the whole streaming video thing at all actually until I started encountering Lewis's streams. Before that, I had uploaded some YouTube videos, but it was nothing at all interesting. It was just my old model aircraft stuff. And I always had an interest in doing videos, but not as this sort of style. So it was certainly something interesting for me to try out. And of course, as you know, Lewis and I have a regular bantering process going on. He uses my software, he hates my software, but he loves my software, and it's all in good fun. I think most of all the guys basically are pretty overwhelmed with everything. He seems to do a good job. Better than I do, that's for sure, in terms of handling it. Is expanding his business, is making it very profitable. Me, I feel like the Steve Martin out of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. I have a bad habit of falling back to the old pity plight. It's bad habit, real bad habit. Yeah, Johnny Chang, I saw that Underdog has since passed away. That was unfortunate. It does happen. I mean, it's inevitable, but it's always doesn't matter if it's inevitable, no matter what. It always hurts. And I know I'm not looking forward to dealing with that myself in many years to come. I guess the price of love is loss. At some point you do lose it. Yeah, I guess that's why some people just prefer to stay very detached. I get it. It's extremely painful. I still have difficult days at times, and that was from a loss that was almost 9 years ago now. Lewis is an open book, as we call it here. You will know how he works after a while. I think what I did like initially with Lewis, or straight up Lewis's videos, the lack of pretending as if it was some kind of magic. And as a person who loves white papers, for the fact that it's straight to the, well, not straight to the point, but there's very minimal embellishment going on. Having that sort of thing was much appreciated. Because prior to that, you'd have to go through a whole lot of videos trying to find what you're after, and people would be cagey about it, wouldn't give you the real answers, stuff like that. So yeah, definitely he brought about the whole, or he certainly was an integral part of the whole movement of putting a lot of videos on YouTube for this sort of thing. He wasn't the first person by any means, but he did create the sort of large-scale style of it. Or at least I feel like, he was a significant factor in it. And I mean, all my software, Flex Boardview, the Open Boardview, even though that was Chloridites before I commandeered too much of it, all that sort of stuff, it was all to sort of get in and participate with all of this. I mean, I've been doing electronics for a long time, but I've never really done it to this level of socialization. Because I was never really a fan of people coming around here and doing electronics with me, or going to local groups or anything like that. It just bore me to tears. Okay, that's cleaned up. Yeah, David, that's quite right. We do never forget them. It's always difficult when you go through that transition of you're over the initial grief, but then you have the grief of not having the grief, or worrying about no longer having the grief or the feel, and that's quite a bizarre sensation. Because you get that feeling that you've been, I don't know, not disrespectful, but you just can't let yourself let go. You want to keep feeling the pain in a bizarre way. But yeah, over time, over years, you do seem to get a slightly better hold of it. I'm a little worried about this MOSFET, but we'll see. I mean, I don't want to melt that connector either. Let's get the old flux and boil, give it a chance to do its job. Maybe you can start programming school. No, it's teaching is not really, I should say active teaching as a teacher for the purpose of teaching. That sounds a little bit redundant, all that, but is something I have tried in the past, but I'm finding it doesn't really bode with my personality. I prefer to do things, I'm happy to show what I'm doing, and I leave it up to people to learn from that if they want to learn, or take things from it if they want to take things from it. But I'm not really actively saying do this and you will learn this, or practice this. Whereas Jessa is much better at that sort of thing. That's her sort of that's her vibe, as it were. Like you can just tell listening to her when she talks on the videos that she's got that teacher personality built into her, and so it suits what she does. Whereas with me, I'd probably kick half my all of my students out pretty quickly. I really don't want that fan connector getting melted. We've got to get some cleaning action though. It's starting to bobble it. That's okay. Alright, so we've got a marker going off here. And we've got all that VRAM stuff that we've got to deal with as well. So I might have to take the... I'm really not looking forward to seeing what goes on under here. Yes, Jessa has a PhD. She's a genuine doctorate person. Me, on the other hand, I didn't even finish my master's, let alone my bachelor. I often want to, but yeah, it's not practical at the moment. And I do have to ask myself, to what point and purpose is there for me finishing it? Yeah, that was in computer science, theoretical, basically applied math, I suppose, and electronics engineering as my two focuses. But I'm doing that every day. So is there any real point other than having a piece of paper on the wall that's going to get moldy and eaten by silverfish? Is there any point at all for me to expend all that money and time? I mean, yeah, you do learn a lot of things, particularly in that field, if it's, you know, genuine computer science and not how to program Java in 30 days type trash. Don't get me wrong, there's a place for that sort of stuff, but it's not at universities as a computer science degree. I mean, you can just go down to the local educational centre or something like that, and you can probably learn that sort of stuff through existing courses. But you go to university specifically because you want to be able to learn things that otherwise are not available, and you're not really focusing on what's cool and trendy at the moment. That cat, you better not come up, don't you dare. Okay, you did. And I think that's where universities kind of went wrong a bit in the 90s, is that they started deciding that, well, we want to attract more people, so let's, particularly in the IT sort of fields, computer fields, so they started, damn it, did that move? Yeah, they started offering courses for what should otherwise be in more of a practical school, or night classes and things like that. And so you're getting all these graduates, or so-called graduates, who know how to do DBase 3 or Lotus or whatever, but you ask them to design a new algorithm or something and they're kind of like, what? And that's really what you want your computer scientists for. Anyway, that's just my personal perspective on it all. I need my edge bunk killer. Where is my Grim Reaper? Well, Warren, I like both. I like having the theoretical, particularly for the sort of stuff I do, where things like algorithms, complexity, graphs, not pretty graphs, I'm talking about math graphs, all that sort of stuff are quite useful. And then, yeah, you definitely need the practical as well. And I think in the 90s there was that great, well, I don't know, maybe it was for longer than that, but there was the great divide between the two sides. It was like you had to be one or the other. You weren't allowed to do both. And so And I mean, I know with a lot of things it was done like that, like nursing even, they put into being theoretical way too much. And the quality of the nurses coming out of the programs were just, basically they were useless until they spent ages in the hospital getting all their practical skills. So there was a great shift to push everything into universities when really, yeah, it should have just been left out as it was. The Grim Reaper does the job again. You gotta be careful on that point because I do have the PCH or something, the GPU on there. I'm kind of curious to see whether this thing's gonna fire up at all now. Oh, fair enough, I do agree. Algorithms are just one part of it. I guess I was just using that as a differentiating example compared to, say, people thinking that they're going to go learn how to program a specific language or something in computer science. And I think there's a great deal of disappointment in when people go and thinking they're going to learn these things and that they realise it's not that. Anyway, I don't know what it's like these days. Let's see if we get any response at all out of this. I'm a little worried about that regulator for the CPU. Green light. Are we after SO state? I'll be very interested to see if we get a green blinky. Are we going to get our greenies? We got our greenies. This board is alive. Congratulations. Alright, let's take the heatsink off and see what we're dealing with underneath there. Nick Face, that's a good way of putting it. People thinking they're going in for computer studies. I mean, I understand why they went for the changes. I mean, after all, it was like, universities need money too, and one way to get money is to have more students. So you try to pitch the whole come learn with us type thing. But hopefully it'll return back to, like I said, I don't know what it's like these days. It's been 20 plus years now. Actually, yeah, 25 years. God damn. I found, well, the EE I did was part of the computer systems engineering degree I was doing. And effectively it was basically using, it was the precursor to what is now microcontroller type electronics and things like that, systems. Before we really did have microcontrollers much. I mean, I think the PICs were just coming out at that point, but mostly it was things like PLAs and yeah. That's always an expensive process. Do your coding and then burn it with burn the fuses, and find out you forgot something. Fortunately, we did have simulators just starting to come about then. I mean, this was back when Wolfenstein still wasn't around, so that gives you a bit of a point in history. PLCs, that's the other one, yeah, thank you. Programmable logic circuits. I really didn't come to love microcontrollers until, sad to say, the Atmel AVR series. Prior to that, it was all like 68 HC11s and things like that. And while they were embedded systems, they were awfully bulky. And I never really had a strong liking for the PIC systems. Whenever I'd use them, it felt like riding a bike on a downhill road in the lowest gear, and you'd be spinning your legs so fast and still getting pretty much nowhere. That was just my limited exposure to PICs at the time. And so I gave it up for a while, and I just focused on programming and IT, as a job. And then when I finally did get to come back around to electronics, the Atmel AVRs were starting to emerge. And I think the first one I got my hands on was either a Tiny 13 or it was a Mega 8. I can't remember exactly which. And from there I started my electronics manufacturing process again. Then when that crashed and burned because China took over the market, I went back to IT work. And then through that I finally came back to electronics again when I encountered MacBooks. I mean, I was doing PC repairs like this before, but not under the microscope, nothing like this. I'm just going over the board looking for... my hair's all caught in that. Yeah, it's looking good. I think we'll just throw this into the ultrasonic and hopefully we have a win here. Beyond this, I basically have to put it all back together and run the tests. There. When I studied computer science, analog computers were still a thing. Oh, no, those things completely mess with my head. I guess it's a bit like Meccano at times. You have all your modules, your multiplier module, your logarithmic module, your atom module, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I tip my hat to you for having the capacity to handle analog computers. Analog computers, RF circuits, all that sort of stuff just do not... I don't get along with them so well. Yeah, nice cakey. I'm really pleased that this did not kill the CPU. I was worried about that quite a bit. AG Vapes. I want to replace the SSD on my MacBook Air 2015. Would I prefer PCR, SATA 2, the same? G Vapes, depend. If you're going to replace it, are you going to get the Transcend replacements? I mean, really, is there that much difference in the performance? I mean, really that much difference in the performance, depending which way you go? I mean, I know it's 2015, so you can go the higher spec, but the Transcend jet drives are the ones that I'm using. I think I'm using the 820s mostly. It is nice that Transcend actually even offers those replacements, unlike the awful OWCs. Don't get the OWCs, whatever. You'll have to spend the extra money and get the Transcend, but it will save you a lot of grief. I believe Parnov was saying that a lot of the other ones have trouble with the sleep mode restoration, things like that, whereas the Transcend ones so far seem to be perfectly capable of handling it. Alright, I think we're done. Let's pack this all up, and then tomorrow I will put it through the ultrasonic, and we should be happy after that. Yeah, looks I'm impressed. The battery's got to be removed on this. That's right. Yes, the battery. I guess we can do that since we've got it all apart. What is it? Now the first rule with removing these batteries is get your workbench as clear as possible. You do not want accidental snafus. Yep, the wax string is what we'll be using. Four. I'm just running the extractor so that it can suck up the alcohol fumes. Just want to make sure there's nothing on here that could cause me trouble. Okay. I think for this I will take the speakers out. Oh no, remember the... the biggest problem with the speakers, you've got to take the daughter board out. Unless I don't bother with that one, I just do it, Paul, do it. Hey, Andrew Hurst. Okie doke. Let's hope the keyboard's not botched on this. That'll make me cry. How did we get that in and out? I think we'll have to go from that direction. Come on, don't be silly. Spent more time just trying to line it up than actually cutting. Skinned a finger. Oh, that's not nice. You just scrape it along the case edge, did you? Either way, very unpleasant. Sorry to hear that. This is the hard part, because you've got the two cells to go against. Okay, flip you guys back in. Oh, I forgot about those stupid little lift tabs that they had. Okay, I shouldn't say stupid, but yeah. I need to make myself a better handle, but hey, what's wrong with a bit of improv? Okay, that's better. Alright, next step, my razor. Sorry folks, I just realised the camera's out on most of that. Yep, the cleaning tape. It's not too, at least when it's dry, because you haven't used alcohol, it's not too bad. Because at least the tape actually maintains its integrity. So when you do draw on it, it has the strength to keep going. Whereas when you've used alcohol, it's just, you know, it's just like wet toilet paper and it comes apart all the time. I'm not even a professional at this, Sonia. It's just a fairly easy process once you've got the tools that do the job. Yeah, looks like this one's going to be a little trickier. It's a mythical substance used to clean our sins away. No! Blade's getting a bit choked up there. This section's a little trickier because the base plate is actually quite flexible, and so as you push down on it, it flexes down, which means the curvature... Oh, my finger is open. Haha. Demolition Man reference. Always a good one. Maybe I should be trying to play the ukulele. Not the ukulele, what is it? Damn it. I can't even remember the name of it, so therefore I don't qualify to play it. The ukulele's that miniature guitar thingy. Yeah, no blood, yeah. No, not the banjo. It's the one it's the one Wesley Snipes asks if he can, well, yeah, goes on about when he's hacking the ATM. It's that concertina type thing. Yeah, where they pump it like this, and then it's got all the little buttons and keys on the side. Accordion. Thank you, David Legault. Thank you. Yeah, I knew it would come to someone sooner or later. Thank you, Dave. Alright, what battery is this one anyway? It's 1494. I don't think I've got any 1494s in stock. No, I've got a 1493 and I've got a 1582, but I do not have a 1494 on hand, so I'll have to order that in. Looks like my glove's broken now anyway. Pardon me. Alright, well, that's basically it. Done everything I can at this point. And I am a little worried about the keyboard, but I'll give it a test. Once the main board's cleaned up and running, I'll plug it in and see if the keyboard's okay. Otherwise we'll have to change that as well, which won't be much fun. But you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. Yeah, get that glove off. So that is the end of another night of barely repairing things. And I thank you all for popping along, keeping me entertained. Otherwise it'd be rather boring at times, fixing things all quiet in this little room on myself. So I appreciate it. And I will perhaps see you tomorrow. I may do some programming, I don't know. I'm thinking of adding a couple of features to the power supply software. I know that a lot of people would like to see a graph, and I also want to see that. I also want to see if I can find a way of capturing instantaneous peak current levels or instantaneous minimum voltage levels. I don't know if this power supply actually has that facility. If it does, it'd have to be internally detected, and then I have to query it. But so far I have not been able to find a way of querying this power supply to see what functions it has built into it. I can't really achieve that sort of information that I want by sampling the power supply quickly, because most of the time these transients happen between samples and it just carries on as if nothing has happened. Mostly I want it so that I can see things like heartbeat shorts that go on, like when the board keeps resetting. Bug in the eye. Like on a 3115 or 2936, the audio cap often fails, and you can pick that up if you have a heartbeat detection in your power supply to be able to check where you've got those spikes of current going through. Anyway, we'll see how we go. So until then, you all take care. Be safe, keep your social distancing. That shouldn't be a problem because you're all here watching me do stuff or watching other people do stuff. So you're doing the right thing. You're saving the world. I appreciate it. I'll see you all later.